show my screen and the screen of who's talking at the same time, it's over. Streaming is, once I figure out how to stream, it's over. I feel like I sound so old saying that. But once I figure out, I texted my husband, I was like, baby, I need you to show me how to do this so that when stuff like this happens, I can be on live talking about it and watching it at the same time.
And I assume that our Democratic colleagues, and some of whom represent some of our most crime-plagued cities.
Oh, I need some more water.
Thank you for this extraordinary accomplishment.
Thank you, Congressman. We've seized more than 9,800 kilos of fentanyl and 40.
She's saying that they seized over 9,800 kilos of fentanyl.
That affects every single person in this room. It doesn't matter what political.
I don't know what that has to. I don't know what that has to do with.
Who's died from fentanyl? A parent.
This is supposed to be about the Epstein files. And you know who really went in on her? And I'm not going to lie, I'm really surprised at how hard Thomas Massie went on her. He went so hard on Pam Bondi. He was showing all of the things that they had redacted, the list of all of the victims' names that had been released in an email, which was very intentional. All of these things that the DOJ is doing, mind you, is very intentional. It's very strategic. They're doing it as a way to punish the victims, silence the victims, and protect the co-conspirators. Les Wexler's name should not have been redacted. And she tried to say, she was like, well, his name was in the files over 4,000 times and you guys caught one redaction. It's like, no, you went and redacted a lot more than just one name in the files.
Mayors in these cities right here in DC.
And can we talk about her dye job? Who dyes her hair? Who dyes her hair? I'm almost offended, but I'm also like, welcome to the revolution. Like, I'm proud of you at the same time.
Working hand in hand with the mayor, with the Metro PD to keep everyone.
Welcome in, everyone.
And it's been a tremendous effort. And now we're in Memphis, working with the mayor in Memphis.
I'm so mad. I'm so mad at how she treated
in our country and
the victims. She was supposed to, she was asked to turn around, acknowledge and apologize to the survivors of Jeffrey Epstein who were standing and had their hands raised. You couldn't miss them. And she refused to do it. You're disgusting.
Unanimous consent?
She's disgusting.
Mr. Chair, I have a few unanimous consent.
So they're doing a unanimous consent right now, trying to enter things into record. I'm going to go grab some water really quick, you guys. I'll be right back.
The defense refuses to apologize. Alex Prince Family after spreading lies, assassin claim. One more. My last submission request is a New York Times article titled FBI Agent Who Tried to Investigate ICE Officer in Shooting Resigns.
No objection. The defendant witness, gentlelady proposed to him.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Attorney General Bondi, I think you and pretty much everybody else here throughout the country believes that convicted sex offenders don't deserve special treatment of privileges. And yet, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirator, received perk after perk in prison. In July, she had a 2-day interview with your deputy and President Trump's former defense attorney, Todd Blanche. Just days after that, Maxwell was transferred from a federal correctional institution in Florida to a minimum security camp in Texas, which she, as a sex offender, would normally be ineligible for. At this new facility, as the ranking member talked about, and by the way, it's...
Okay, I'm back. Thank you for your patience.
We've heard reports that she's been...
Had to go get some more water. Welcome in, everyone. All right, so Ms. Ross is currently talking right now.
Attorney General Bondi, does a convicted sex offender like...
Talking about why Maxwell was moved to a special treatment prison out here in Texas.
Let me be crystal clear on this. No.
And let me
keep going.
Perfect. Well,
I did not know she was transferred.
I asked you yesterday.
She was not transferred to a lower...
Reclaim your time, girl. Reclaim your time.
And I'm glad that we're agreeing. So when we're agreeing, we can move on to some other things. You do know.
I love how they eat her up.
She does get these perks, and it's been publicly reported that the folks she's abused, the survivors who are sitting here, they see themselves as being denied justice.
Yes, they have been denied justice.
Stigmatized.
Yes.
I'm glad that we
Can you guys hear it?
agree on that. But she should not be in that prison.
Absolutely not.
And she
should be in a maximum security prison.
Security prison.
Absolutely.
As soon as possible. But what she has told another committee here is that she won't cooperate with them.
Thanks, Dave.
Unless she gets
Thanks, Dave from California.
From Donald Trump. It's just crazy to consider that she can be wielding this kind of influence.
Absolutely.
Within the administration.
What power does Ghislaine Maxwell have over this administration?
To be transferred to the minimum security prison that she was ineligible for.
Absolutely.
Who signed off on the special privileges? Was it Mr. Blanche? Was it one of your other subordinates? So please, can you tell us who sent her there, since you don't agree she should be there?
I said I do not agree she should receive special treatment.
Girl, go fuck yourself. I'm sorry.
After the fact,
I'm sorry.
facility, and that is
I'm sorry.
for the Bureau.
I'm so
not
over
at
her
all.
answers.
The same level facility. I don't know why. But
You don't, in the DOJ, you don't know why someone was moved from a maximum security prison to a minimum security prison who is a sex traffic offender.
Right, and
you don't talk about that.
I'm so
talk about
confused.
it and actually helping with these issues. But we're going to move back to you.
I bet we are.
Yes, of course, because you're here to testify.
You idiot. She is so, did you guys just hear that? She said, okay, so we're going to get back to you. And Pam Bondi goes, I bet you are. Girl, yes, we are. This whole thing is about you.
In that committee.
That's what we're here for.
And her lawyer dangled the offer of clemency. Should Donald Trump pardon?
Sorry, I'm on Threads at the same time. So I'm on Threads, I'm on Substack.
Released from prison yesterday.
We're watching this all at the same time.
Said you hope she dies there.
Oh, Sasha Barrow said the scariest part of the Epstein files is the fact that logic dictates that the half they aren't releasing is even worse, even more incriminating. Yep. The other half of the files that they have not released are the bad ones. The really, really bad ones. Beth said, I'm in Australia watching, waiting for someone to start burning things down. Oh, absolutely.
I want you to know that
me
your
too.
own,
I'm praying.
DOJ,
I'm praying for it.
Recently been demoted and had some other problems. Advises on pardons. Do you think he will be advising Mr. Trump on any kind of clemency or pardon for
Ghislaine Maxwell?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
I'm not going to speculate, and you couldn't even identify properly. That's why you don't want to talk about it.
Yeah, I've been yelling at the TV all morning too, Beth.
I absolutely
It's embarrassing.
have been, and her family, by the way, appreciates all of the condolences, all of the help, everything that our law enforcement in North Carolina has been doing to help her family. Her family feels well treated. Thank you, and I yield back.
And as LA yields back, gentleman from California is recognized. I'd ask unanimous consent to enter into the record an article by former Attorney General William P. Barr entitled "Why Pam Bondi."
So Pam Bondi is a crock of shit.
Files in 30 days.
I'm gonna keep it real with you guys. Y'all who have been following me for a long time, y'all know how I get down. Pam Bondi is a crock of shit.
Mr. Chairman. May I respond 20 seconds to something that Congresswoman Ross said?
Go right ahead.
Thank you. She also opposed a sex offender registry as head of North Carolina ACLU. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Attorney General. And I'd like to pick up where you left off a moment ago, because we convene here today as a committee for the stated purpose of conducting oversight of the Department of Justice. And so it's critical for us
Miss
to
Lee
focus
is currently
first on the
talking right now.
mission of the department and assess your success in discharging it. So the mission of the department is to enforce the law, defend the rule of law, and protect the American people from violent crime, terrorism, drug trafficking, fraud, and exploitation, to promote public safety. And what we have heard today unequivocally is that President Trump's Department of Justice, under your leadership, Attorney General Bondi, is doing exactly that.
Period.
Just a moment ago, you shared with us some incredible statistics that the United States, under your leadership, has achieved the lowest murder rate in 125 years. In the first year of this administration,
which is a joke.
Down 21%,
that is such a lie.
robbery is down 23%, carjacking down 43%, and gun assault down 22%. That is what public safety looks like. Under your leadership and that of President Trump, you've located more than 6,000 child victims of trafficking and exploitation, arrested 1,700 child predators.
Okay, wait, I'm realizing.
More than 300 human traffickers. Significant increases. And those aren't just statistics. Those are precious lives that your department and the men and women
I realize which side she's on.
Madam Attorney General, you've mentioned a couple of specific criminal trends during this hearing that I'd like to discuss with you.
I don't, we're not here to
Congress is making sure
to talk about the things that she has quote unquote done in 1 year of being under this administration. That's not what we're here to talk about. We're not here to pump her up. We're here to talk about the Epstein files. That's why the survivors are in the audience.
We have a bill
because we're here to talk about the Epstein files.
Rescue more child victims. And the Defiance
Welcome in.
to provide legal recourse to victims of deepfake AI intimate images.
What they love to do is this is gaslighting, right? This is their version of what gaslighting looks like. Is that they're trying to push a bunch of misinformation in our face and try to say, "Oh, we've done all of these grand things. We've done all of these big things. Please ignore the fact that we have completely obliterated the privacy of the survivors, that their names were never supposed to get out. We've completely botched this whole entire Epstein investigation at this point. We haven't identified any co-conspirators for the world to see. We've redacted so many pieces of paper that the Epstein files show absolutely nothing. They're trying to distract us from all of that. So that's what they're doing right now by licking her boots and talking about all of these statistics of what she's allegedly done in the last year.
Adult women, boys and men from sextortion, because it is.
I'm trying to be nice.
In our power, thanks to your legislation, all of you, to stop that.
I'd like to hear a little bit more about some of the Department of Justice programs.
Oh, and just before I came on live, it made me mad because they were talking about how she hired a January 6er who was one of the main people that was yelling at the police and telling people to kill the police. She hired him under the DOJ, and her reaction was, well, I believe that Donald Trump pardoned him.
Had a tremendous amount.
So what?
In our state.
So you want that, and you claim to care about law enforcement, yet and still
ending drug trafficking.
You hired someone that wanted to kill law enforcement because they quote unquote lost an election.
We've done a lot of that in Florida when I was state AG, and actually back when I was a state prosecutor prior to being Attorney General.
Pamela
that
Bondi.
is so important. I feel like what we've been doing in DC too, with the Take Back DC and Make DC Safe Again, is similar to that. Going into the neighborhoods.
DC was never unsafe.
Seeing law enforcement officers out.
Jess Michaels just threaded, I guess they chose complicity.
It's pretty remarkable.
My heart breaks for them.
We've seen firsthand.
My heart breaks for them.
Citizens in Memphis saying that they appreciate, they can walk outdoors now. And
their ability to justify these contradictions is absolutely mind-boggling. Yes, it is, Rebecca.
Hand in hand with them.
Yes, it
is.
We'll
continue all
welcome in
programs and working jointly with both sides of the aisle to keep our families safe.
Thank you for that, Madam Attorney General. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.
That was just a whole bunch of let me kiss Pam Bondi's ass really quickly.
I'd like to introduce for the record a letter.
I should have known.
A letter to Director Gabbard from Mr. Warner and Mr. Himes, and a letter of response from her to them about who invited her to Atlanta, and a copy of the search warrant. And I'd also like to just mention,
Yeah, because why was Tulsi Gabbard in Atlanta?
weren't going out was because the ice was on the ground and we were afraid we'd fall. But other than that, we go out all the time.
Gentlemen, without objection, there's unanimous consent. The gentlelady from Vermont is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Attorney General
Okay,
Bondi,
quick question.
according to your
So,
a child is sexually abused in the United States every 9 minutes. The vast majority.
Mr. Jordan is Jim Jordan?
Justice. And that's one of the reasons why I think
Like the Jim Jordan?
resonated so deeply with so many.
I just want to make sure I got this
Another
right.
reason I think is because it has revealed a two-tiered system of justice, and the powerful are protected, and the survivors rarely get any accountability. And the Epstein files contain
Oh my God, I think I
evidence
just
of a multi-decade international criminal conspiracy involving some of the wealthiest, the most powerful people in the world. There's evidence of financial crimes, political corruption, sex trafficking, and of course, horrible sexual abuse. And I want to remind everybody, this isn't a game. These are real people who have suffered, who are sitting here with us today, and they deserve answers and they deserve accountability. And I'm here to try to get some for them. Now, I've seen some of the unredacted Epstein files. Now, obviously, as you know, President Trump's name is all over them, but so are the names of other senior Trump officials. Howard Lutnick, Secretary of Commerce, John
call him out.
Phelan, the Secretary of the Navy, and
Jim
Steve
Jordan?
Bradford, the Deputy Secretary of
Jim
Defense.
Jordan.
These men,
You mean the leader of this
appointed
meeting?
by President Trump to senior positions in his administration, all of them have clear and confirmed ties to Jeffrey Epstein. Attorney General Bondi, yes or no, has the Justice Department asked Secretary Lutnick about his ties to Epstein?
Excuse me. Secretary Lutnick has addressed those ties himself.
I'm asking you, has the Justice Department
Has the Justice Department specifically asked him?
his ties?
Yes or no? The answer is no.
He has addressed those ties.
The answer is no.
Has the DOJ asked Secretary Phelan about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't know whether he has addressed those or not.
Has the
That's not the
has
question.
Deputy Secretary Feinberg talked to the Department of Justice about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein?
Katie,
Yes or
you're
no?
right. That does feel like
Department of Justice
a huge conflict of interest.
about his ties to Jeffrey Epstein, which are clearly spelled out in the files. It's a very simple question. It's not a trick question. I'm just asking.
I'm stunned that you want to continue talking about.
Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm recording my time. I'm asking you.
Refresh your home and save big.
She doesn't want to answer the question if the DOJ has talked to any of these specific people
Senior
and their ties
within
and their senior officials within the Trump administration, and asking the DOJ if
I can conclude.
they've asked or been spoken to by the DOJ, and Pam Bondi refuses to answer the question. She's like, I can't believe you want to sit here and still talk about the Epstein files. That's why we're here, Pamela. We're here. We are here. Rebecca said, I'm stunned that you want to talk about the files at this meeting about the file. Bitch, be so for real. That's why we're here.
Same standard should apply here.
I can't. My mind is blown. That's why we're fucking here.
It is not your time to ask questions. It is not your time. I'm reclaiming my time, Mr. Chair. One second.
Miss Ballant is reading her for Phil.
Was the president aware of Secretary Lutnick's ties to Epstein when he chose him to lead the Department of Commerce? Was he aware?
Chris Malin was a border patrol.
Okay.
Answer the. She refuses. I'm not going to scream at you guys. I'm sorry.
Because he was the next door neighbor.
Shame on you.
Oh, for goodness sakes.
You're
This
from
is
a tiny,
pathetic.
beautiful
This is pathetic, Mr. Chair.
in order.
I am not asking trick questions here. The American people have a right to know the answers to this.
Eat her
These
up.
are senior officials in the Trump administration. This is not a game.
This is not a game, and she's playing it like it's a game.
I'm Attorney General.
My apologies. I couldn't tell.
Oh.
By 2008, we knew
That's what I'm talking
Epstein was
about.
a convicted sexual abuser. And we now know that Lutnick went to Epstein's Island in 2012. How was
Oh
it
my God.
deal breaker
I
for the
can't
president?
even talk about it.
You're
Yeah.
asking questions.
Yeah. She ate.
of the Commerce Secretary about what he saw when he was at the island, which he lied about not ever going to. Why are you not asking these questions?
Why?
And I see that my time is almost expired, so I will say this. Do the right
Shane,
attorney.
that's why we're here. She's acting like we're not here to talk about the fucking Epstein files. That's why we're here. And you're saying shame?
Recognized 4 or 5 minutes.
May I have 20 seconds?
No.
That'd be up to the gentleman, but
Absolutely. Madam.
Thank you. Thank you. I was curious if you, Congresswoman, asked Bill Clinton that. Didn't see one tweet, not one. I didn't see one tweet when Joe Biden was in office about Bill Clinton. Didn't ask Merrick Garland anything about Epstein.
We couldn't
once.
pull the files up
And it's also, I want the record to reflect
when
that
Joe Biden was the president because it was still an active investigation.
condemning.
Oh,
Yes,
really?
you-
Oh,
Want to be clear.
do you want to go there, Attorney General? Do you want to go there?
Oh, she does. Let's go.
gentlemen,
Anti-Semitism to a woman who lost her grandfather in the Holocaust. Really?
the committee will be in order.
Oh.
You're wise about anti-Semitism.
Oh,
Ranking member.
that was brutal.
Can I get like 30 seconds back,
Yeah, I've been. I think the whole committee knows. I've been very
Thank
honest,
you.
making sure it's their 5 minutes in the same
General, I'm going to talk about sanctions.
Oh, that was brutal. So she said she brought up anti-Semitism to the congresswoman whose grandfather was in the Holocaust. And so they had just gotten into a little back and forth about that. And then the congresswoman walked out after she said what she had to say. I can't believe this is happening. Yeah, Rebecca, I can't believe this is happening in a congressional hearing. Like, this is so unprofessional at how Pam Bondi is behaving himself. But this is the whole administration. They have no coup. They have no coup. They have zero ability to control their emotions. This is what it looks like when someone is mentally unstable and is unable to control their emotions because they're lying. Because they're lying and they are under attack for lying, and they're trying to play defense, and they think the defense makes them look like a big bad dog, but it doesn't make them look big and bad. It makes them look like they're tucking their tails.
Democrat.
That's what this whole entire administration has done.
And for the American taxpayer, they make it do sanctuary policies.
If I spoke this way in a meeting, I would get fired, LMAO, and I work a mid-level job. Absolutely. If I were to say if I were to even think the way that Pam Bondi thought. Oh my Lord.
So what's strange to me, if you look at this board behind me, in New York, there are 7,000 criminal legal aliens since January 20th of last year that have been released into the public because New York is not honoring detainers requested by ICE. California, similarly, has released 4,500 criminal legal aliens. There are 33,000 under detainer.
Why do they call them illegal aliens? They're not aliens. They're human beings, for fuck's sake.
29 homicides, 2,500 assaults, almost 200 burglaries. These are people that are released into our community by these states that refuse to cooperate. Last August, Michael Jordan Castellano Fonseca, a criminal illegal alien with ties to Trinidad, shot 2 people in front of 5 children in the sanctuary state of Colorado. DHS lodged a detainer on him. He's awaiting trial, but the question is whether Colorado's sanctuary policies will prevent him from being removed from the country. Yes or no? Do you think that sanctuary jurisdictions, if they cooperated with ICE, those illegals in custody could be transferred to ICE properly instead of being held in taxpayer-funded jails and then released into our community?
Yes, Congressman.
Wouldn't it be more efficient and safer then if Democrats
I don't know what this has to do with the files. Beth.
jurisdictions?
It has nothing to do with the files. That's why I don't.
And why? Why do you think?
I want to say so much, but I'm trying to have an ounce of professionalism on my platform, like maybe a smidge, but everything that I want to say is
criminals in their own
not nice.
jurisdiction for that reason. And yes, we need to do everything we can to work
The
together.
fact that we are sitting here talking about immigration offenses that are misdemeanors instead of this global sex trafficking ring is going to make me pull my hair out. Absolutely. I'm going to pull my hair out too. They just won't, they don't want to go there because they are terrified,
as we've seen,
of what's on the other side of this. This is so much deeper than any of us could imagine.
Courtroom, passing them off from one law enforcement to the next. Is that true?
Absolutely.
What do you think? What is the Department of Justice doing right now to combat sanctuary policies in our country?
We're doing everything in our power, obviously, to combat that. Donald Trump is doing everything he can because we are going to make America safe.
So I'm looking at some conversations that are going on Threads. So someone by the name of Strand Junker said, "You can joke about Pam Bondi's ridiculous unprofessionalism all you want, but I'm deeply shocked by it. She acts as if she fears absolutely no consequences, convinced that there will be no more political power transfers. This should shake everyone to their core," which I agree with that statement. It should make us afraid at how she absolutely is just batshit crazy and she fears zero consequences because there's nothing is going to happen to her. Sasha Barros, aka Sasha Riley, commented and said she's kamikaze brave. She's backed all the way into a corner and has no choice but to toe the line. She's got to say and do whatever they tell her because whatever she did is bad enough. She can't face it.
Hundreds of millions of dollars.
Clock that T.
Washington Post, December 19, 2025. Trump's pardons wipe out payments to defrauded victims. And finally, May 30th, 2024, Trump found guilty by Manhattan jury on 34 felony counts of fraud.
So Rebecca said, also, I can't stop thinking about what you said earlier about how the shit that we've seen is not the worst of it. And the idea that it gets worse keeps me up every night. The idea that it gets worse is that my stomach has curled at the things that I have seen so far, and I already knew it could get this bad. It's just that it's not fully spelled out yet. When you see things in the files talking about, I love the torture video, that means there's a video out there of someone being tortured. You know what I mean? So it's like what we've seen so far is just scratched the surface. What we know so far has just scratched the surface. But what's behind that is so much more. And they're terrified about what's going to come out about it because of who is involved by it. Beth said, I think they believe they're going to be able to cancel the midterms and just keep going. I don't think they have an understanding of how they are seen by those of us with half a brain and one eye open. Absolutely. I absolutely agree. Let's see what Mr. Garcia has to say.
Investigate elected officials in welcoming jurisdictions, and you got thrown out of court when you sued Chicago, Cook County, and Illinois. You directed prosecutors to prioritize low-level immigration cases while gutting enforcement against corporate criminals and public corruption. You revived draconian
You're
law
talking
of
about public corruption,
1798,
Whoa.
which should be repealed to illegally send people to a torture prison in El Salvador. You fired over 100 immigration judges, including the assistant chief immigration judge in Chicago, without cause, and installed unqualified military judges whom you instructed to deny asylum in violation of the law. You prosecute the president's enemies like Jim Comey and Tish James while giving impunity to federal agents who are murdering and brutalizing and terrorizing constituents, including in Chicagoland, in my neighborhood. I saw it last year firsthand. You and Cash Patel covered up the murder of Silverio Villegas Gonzalez in my district by ICE agents. You tried to investigate Renee Good instead of the ICE agent who murdered her, and you tried to cover up the murder of Alex Preddy by CBP agents. You bring fake charges against protesters like the Broadview Six and Marimar Martinez, whom your administration labeled a domestic terrorist. This is the Montessori teacher.
He is eating her up.
In my district.
That's why I'm not saying anything.
Terrorizes and DHS authority. That's what you do. protect and enable the criminals who are plundering our society and
That's what
destroying
you do.
what's left of democracy and the
I know that's right, Mr. Garcia.
Epstein accomplices, mass gig chess thugs, corporate criminals, Tom Homan, Eric Adams, insurrectionists. The list goes on. And you talk about fighting crime, but you protect any criminal who helps you and Trump turn our country into an authoritarian gangster state. And after all this, nobody supports you. I'm not talking about Democrats. I'm talking about conservative judges who are condemning the rampant lawlessness at DOJ under your leadership. Your prosecutors are quitting in droves over being forced to prosecute low-level immigration cases, including in Chicagoland. Your MAGA base despises you because you're covering up the Epstein file. How ironic.
What do you mean?
And even your
Beth,
own boss
so I know there's people on both sides here.
complains
Sorry, I got
your
quiet because I'm
staff
listening
about
to
you,
what he's
calling
saying.
you weak and ineffective. Weak and ineffective. That's what Donald Trump thinks of you already. You will not win, however. Chicagoland rejects you. The American people reject you. Our communities have demonstrated our strength and resilience in the face of cruelty and cowardice. Democrats must impeach and remove lawless officials like you and Kristi Noem. Impose accountability for every criminal action. But you can spare yourself more humiliation. Resign now and submit yourself to accountability by the American people. Mr. Chairman, before I yield back, I ask unanimous consent to submit for the record this Wall Street Journal article dated January 12th, 2026, entitled, Trump has complained about Pam Bondi repeatedly to aides. And I yield back.
Objection. Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Texas is recognized.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, Mr. Garcia came to play today.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Let's hear the opposition research.
Thank you. That's absolutely right. That they're not running for, he's not running for office again because, well, I don't know why you're not running for office again, but after the filing deadline, you publicly announced you would not run when your chief of staff, Patty Garcia, announced and took your seat.
That's a state matter. That isn't a federal matter. You should invest.
Me too. I love that he introduced it.
Texas, the time to launch the gentleman from Texas.
A little flexibility in the time. I appreciate the chairman. Madam Attorney General, am I correct that under your leadership,
She's so
has prosecuted cases of non-citizen voting? So it's false, as some of my Democratic colleagues have claimed, that it doesn't happen.
Yes.
I ask that today because we're voting on the Save America Act today to enact common sense policy to ensure all American citizens vote in American elections.
Dave from California said it's like
Federal voter ID law.
arguing with an obnoxious drunk person in a bar. You're absolutely right. I'm exhausted and I'm not even the one going back and forth with her. I just can't believe we've lasted this long of this unprofessionalism. I would almost rather her sit there and say, I plead the fifth, or no comment, or I do not recall, than listen to her have these erratic
That's all pending.
back and
But
forth.
it does not overturn votes that they've cast, right? So passing the Save
no,
America
Congressman.
Act would help us deal with that problem.
Yes, Congressman.
Second question. As Attorney General, you're in charge of the Executive Office of Immigration Review, correct?
Yes, Congressman.
The Biden-Mayorkas regime caused the immigration court case backlog to explode, correct?
Explode.
Does that sound about right? That in September of 2020, 4 months before President Biden took office, there was a backlog of 1.5 million cases. But by the time President Biden left office,
I really can't wait for the day
4.2
that she
million
just
cases.
gets pulled out.
It sounds about right, but I don't have the
Handcuffs.
exact numbers.
It would be accurate to say that most individuals who file for asylum have a meritless or fraudulent claim.
Most. I don't have the numbers.
Oh, so does it sound correct that of the asylum cases adjudicated in FY 2023 under the Biden regime, that only 14% resulted in an asylum grant and only 12% in fiscal year 2024? Does that sound correct?
It sounds correct. I'm sorry, I don't have the numbers.
Could you get that information to us to
Yes,
verify
absolutely.
that
I'll
data?
get all that information to you.
Under the Trump administration, immigration judges complete an average of 65,000 cases per month, the highest average completion rate in at least a decade. Does that sound correct?
That sounds correct.
Ms. Bondi, how many new cases under EOIR received in fiscal year 2025 have you all had? And of those, what percentage have been granted asylum? Do you know?
I can try to get you those numbers.
I thought I had those.
That'd be great. Because my question is whether President Trump's decision.
Corey update on Thread said, I know it's a disgusting word to call women, but Pam Bondi ... She is one, right? The answer is yes.
Sound correct?
The answer is yes.
My point being that the leadership of this administration is ending the backlog, reducing
Because they will use these clips to say Pam Bondi was unjustly attacked by Dems. Oh, they will. Here's the thing. Pam Bondi has committed so much perjury today. The thing that pisses me off is nothing's going to happen about it.
a few questions.
Nothing is going to happen about this administration can literally now, like Trump said, walk in the middle of the street and murder people and get away with it. It's happened in front of our faces, in front of our eyes. There isn't a single thing that this administration can do and you can't do.
Is that correct?
Yes, Congressman, almost completely.
My name's William Martin.
Oh my goodness, YouTube is driving me insane.
I'm a Democrat and 22-year Navy veteran.
Administration, nothing.
And I want to make one other point and then another question, though, that is important. I want to make one observation. That is that we've heard the information today, which is troubling, that Jane Doe's, the victim's information was made public.
Yeah, I hope she will be held accountable.
Released on Friday. So my question is, some of us had argued when we were dealing with the discharge petition in Congress, that when Congress inserted itself into the process, that we needed to be very careful to ensure that we were protecting victims. So a question that is both, I just want to make that clear that some of us were fighting for that here, and we didn't get a chance to amend it or change it. So that was concerning. But a question a little more pointed, I have to say, is why, though, were the victims' names released that shouldn't have been? That there were names
Answer that question.
That these Jane Does, that their names shouldn't have been made public when there were some accusers whose names were redacted. That's question one. Mm-hmm. And question two was that Ghislaine Maxwell was put in jail for trafficking minors. Rightly so, and you properly said here at this table, you hope she dies in jail. Well, I want to know, will anyone besides her or Epstein, which I congratulate President Trump's previous administration and this Department of Justice for continuing all of that, but that they were indicted, but will anyone else be indicted and prosecuted under this, given the information that's in front of us? So 2 questions.
Thank you for letting me answer that. They didn't want to hear my answer on the other side.
Oh my God. Just answer the fucking question.
The tight time frame of 30 days. I believe we got everything released within a little over 60 days. I'm talking as fast as I can. My time is up. We did the best we could immediately. If everyone's been coming to view the documents, if someone's name.
They knew that this was coming.
Redacted.
They've been redacting files since March of 2025. They've been redacting files since March of 2025.
Everything we can.
The FBI had to.
Tight time frame and over 3 million pages that we released that Donald Trump signed for pure transparency. Second, what was your second question?
About whether another individual.
Absolutely. Thank you for asking that. And they never wanted to hear the answer to that. We have pending investigations in our office.
Time of the gentleman has expired. Unanimous consent request from the gentleman from Pennsylvania.
Thank you. I have several UCA's receipts. I'd like to have unanimous consent to introduce the National Security Presidential Memorandum 7, dated September 25th, 25.
Objection.
The Bondi Department of Justice memo dated December 4th, 2025.
Objection.
And
Rebecca said, growing up is realizing that everything we were taught about our global enemies, so to speak, was actually just a confession about the United States, i.e. not having free speech, completely unchecked police violence, legalized slavery, propaganda, government-controlled news, and censored information from around the globe. Yep. And yep. Beth said, did she just say that Donald Trump signed off on redacting all the perpetrators and exposing the survivors? I don't know if I heard that.
Capital Sun, October
I think she said
2025.
I don't think. I don't know. To be honest, I wasn't really paying attention when she was talking. At least not to that part, because someone else started talking at the same
published by
time.
the National Council of Nonprofits, the largest network of nonprofits in America.
Objection.
The Freedom from Religious Foundation warns that Bondi memo weaponizes federal law enforcement against non-Christians and dissenting viewpoints.
Objection.
She said they released 3 million articles and Donald Trump signed off on it. Yeah, she's talking about the Transparency Act
of Americans.
She's talking about him signing off. She said for the sake of transparency, it was talking about the Epstein Transparency Act.
No objection. The gentleman from Florida is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, Attorney General Bondi.
Good afternoon.
Oh, you're right. Good afternoon. It's been a long day. I wrote this morning. We've known each other a long time. And I'll always be appreciative for your assistance when you were Attorney General in Florida after the shooting.
I think the Harry Potter book stacked up next to him.
In my hometown of Parkland, when we passed a bipartisan bill, the Marjorie Stoneman Douglas,
which was
the largest policy response to a school shooting in American history. Your department also prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law a constituent of mine and former felon that had plans to kill me when he was picked up by law enforcement after he was target practicing in his backyard with 2 rifles, a scope, a silencer, 3,000 rounds of ammunition, an anti-Semitic manifesto. My name was the only name on their target list, and my kids found out about this from their friends at school. So thank you. However, the most transparent administration in American history. Before Trump, we didn't know the word transparency, apparently. It's been 12 months since you gave Republican influencers part 1 of the Epstein files. You said the list was on your desk, and a memo came out and said that there was no list. Phase 2 of the binders never happened. The President of the United States says the Epstein thing is a hoax. He blasts his own base for wanting the release of the files. He blamed Barack Obama. Republicans voted against the release of the files in the Rules Committee. Then they refused to even return to the Rules Committee until they could be protected from future votes on the release. Speaker Johnson sends Congress home a day early before break. They sent the Deputy Attorney General to meet with Maxwell. She says something favorable about the president. Miraculously, she gets transferred to a minimum security facility.
Sorry.
No one can explain why.
I got lost in his rant and on my phone. She said they released 3 million articles and that Donald Trump signed off on it as some sort of proof that he was happy to release it because he wasn't in it. What was released doesn't back that up, does it? I think they think we're as stupid as they are. Yeah, they want us to believe so badly that they want us to believe so badly that Trump isn't in the files. And I have a file on my desktop that I've had people email to me and send to me because it was scrubbed from the original. It was scrubbed from the site
by Congress.
And so
every member of the House and the entire Senate.
There is a whole list of the FBI reports that Donald Trump is accused of doing things to minors in the files that they tried to scrub from the files. So, yeah, it doesn't back up what she said. They want us to believe so badly that Trump isn't implicated in anything because none of the survivors have directly come out and said that he is.
He had a worldwide sex trafficking ring. Girls from Poland, Czechoslovakia, Russia, Paris, modeling agencies sending him girls. He even had a relationship with a summer camp where he groomed girls at a picnic table. Elaine Maxwell says 29 Epstein associates cut secret DOJ deals. Turns out there is a list. 6 names readily available if you unredact them. Co-conspirators named, but we got them when you unredact them. Maxwell recently tells a House Oversight Committee that she wants clemency to release more names. Kash Patel under oath said Trump's name appears less than 100 times in the files. We now know that's not true.
True, Sasha has. But they haven't acknowledged Sasha as
appears in the book
a credible...
Okay, by the way, this is the Trump Bible. Move over King James. Trump's name also appears more times in the Epstein file than Harry Potter's name.
I believe him, though. That's not me saying... Sorry, I believe them. That's not me saying that I don't believe them. That's just me saying that they have not been publicly...
said he got one every day, that it was still
acknowledged yet.
He and his wife decide to leave and say they'll never be in a room with him again. Howard then says, I'm sure the Epstein stuff is all on video. He was the greatest blackmailer of all time. Well, how would Howard know that? But now the files are public. And in 2012, we find out that he and his family are on Epstein.
They are acknowledging a single thing is credible. That's what's pissing me off, is because you have the files right in front of you and they tell a story. If thousands of us can sit here and go through the files and find what we have found so far, how can the DOJ not say? How can the DOJ sit there and say with a straight face, oh, we haven't found anything yet, when thousands of us have found proof of things? I've been talking about Sultan bin Salayem for weeks now because he's come up because of this weird 23andMe genetic testing tests that he wanted from Jeffrey Epstein. Jeffrey Epstein tried to order him 30 DNA tests to send out to the UAE.
See how good it is. So give me your best one.
So first of all, nothing is funny about mocking the Bible and holding up a Trump Bible. That's what you did. You made a joke, and I find it.
I want
that. That's all I have to say.
I want it from the burn book.
Shame.
I want it from the burn book. Which is the best one? What you got?
Has expired. The gentleman from Wisconsin is recognized.
First of all, I'd like to clear something up that was said earlier and is frequently said.
I can't believe this is real life.
And that is the supposed small number of crimes
I cannot
committed by
I cannot
illegal
believe.
immigrants in the country.
I cannot
that has
believe
been, based
what is
on
happening
a
right in front of my
thoroughly
eyes.
done study by the Cato Institute, and I believe the Cato Institute itself has even updated that study. The reason that we know that study is not true is that those statistics are not out there. For whatever reason, when somebody is arrested, even for very serious crimes, we do not have on the paperwork whether that person is a legal or illegal immigrant. Okay? If I go to one of my local sheriffs in Wisconsin and ask them how many illegal immigrants
Let's see what they're talking
in
about.
your jail, they will say, I have
The
no idea.
Reds.
We don't keep track of that.
Someone said Pam Bondi is a
When I tour the federal
Horcrux.
prison right outside of my district, and I asked them, in this federal prison, how many of your inmates are illegal aliens? They will tell me, we have no idea. We don't keep track of that. So whenever you hear a Democrat or anybody or a pundit say that, oh, there's so few illegals committing crimes, it is based on nothing because those statistics are not available anywhere. What I would offer in the next round of appropriation bills, if one of my Democrat colleagues wants to help me out, perhaps in appropriations we can get funds to add to all the paperwork whenever anybody is convicted of crime as to whether or not they are citizen or non-citizen.
I agree, Beth. Beth said
statistics.
we are so conditioned to just watching awful things happen. I think it's going to take a while for it to really sink in for some people.
Oh, so
there's so much truth to that.
Crimes are committed by illegal immigrants. They don't know what they're talking about because nobody has those numbers. Okay, there's the first thing. Now, the next thing I want to point out, we have had what I think is an unprecedented situation in Minnesota in which they are not assisting ICE in dealing with crimes that are going on up there. In other words, ICE is left to its own devices. When I talk to my local sheriffs, they tell me that whenever a federal agency is engaged in work in Wisconsin, they always make themselves available in case that federal agency needs assistance. This could be something like ICE under DI. It could be drug enforcement. It could be ATF. It could be FBI. It could be Secret Service. It could be the U.S. Marshal. Nobody that I've been able to find, any sheriff in the state of Wisconsin, is aware of any circumstances in which they did not make themselves available to federal law enforcement, either if they need somebody extra to do surveillance, to just park a marked car outside the area, to assist in apprehension of a criminal, if they need assistance with an additional SWAT team, if they need to transport somebody. Local law enforcement is always there. Now, you are not in charge of ICE, but you're in charge of several other agencies. Have you ever heard of anything like what's going on in Minnesota, where the governor or the local mayor refuses to give assistance to federal law enforcement?
Fuck them in.
I have in Portland and some other cities where they weren't cooperating. But as I said, I spent about 4 days. I did spend 4 days in Minnesota, and I believe many of the local law enforcement wish they could work with us to make their city safe.
Girl, bye.
Okay, now we'll switch to something else. I'd like to thank you for doing this today.
She thought she ate with that.
You're very confident. Something I love. You tolerate fools gladly, so I appreciate that. Trey. You suffer fools gladly. In hearings like this, we often focus on new initiatives undertaken by the department. Today, I'd like to give you an opportunity to discuss actions implemented under the Biden administration's Department of Justice, such as the Foreign Influence Task
I think I have a hair trying to get in my eye.
And, it's always rare to see anything on the government terminated. But could you elaborate on those decisions and highlight the accomplishments of your tenure at Justice?
Thank you for asking that. We are out of time, but may I answer, Chairman?
Go ahead.
Here. Thank you. The Biden administration weaponized the Foreign Corruption
Oh
Practices
my
Act.
Lord.
And on February 10th,
It's always a constant attack on the Biden administration and what the Biden administration didn't do. The Biden administration didn't do this and didn't do that. It's your turn now. So what are you going to do?
was led, and the department issued new guidelines protecting all Americans.
Waltz did ask for
Protecting
ICE to work with the local PD, and they didn't say no. They don't want to help us. They want to militarize
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Bondi, I went over
and take full control. They don't want
some of the
any help.
materials. And I am looking forward to your detailed explanation for why you have withheld almost half of the documents, which is required by the bill. Now, obviously, there are 3 million documents, so I didn't get through much. But one thing I didn't see was the client list that you said you had on your desk a year ago.
Oh,
I did, however, find a couple of important documents. An 86-page prosecution memo from the Southern District of New York and a draft indictment from Florida against Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators.
We reacted the same way. What are you going to do about what's happening right now? Yeah, like they just for a year. Okay, I get maybe the first year having to deal with some of the things that rolled over from the Biden administration. Okay, but we're on to the second year now. What are you gonna do differently? What are you gonna do to make changes? What are you gonna do to make a change right now? Girl, fuck you.
They're not privileged, but we will discuss that later. I also found an email that I have right here.
I couldn't be a senator. I couldn't be a senator because I would straight cuss Pam Bondi out.
With Jeffrey Epstein.
You got the right one on the right day. You heard my motherfucking question. You heard what I have to say. Ooh, Pam Bondi got my blood pressure up.
With your staff, and I can assure you, staff, this is not under attorney-client privilege because it was sent from Jeffrey Epstein to Ghislaine Maxwell. Will you commit to publicly providing the unredacted version of this so that the American people can understand the extent of Donald Trump's lies about his relationship with Jeffrey Epstein?
You're about as good of a lawyer today as you were when you tried to impeach President Trump in 2016. Have you apologized?
Oh my God. Answer the question. Will you unredact the document or not?
Redact this.
Privileged.
Privileged, of course. I look forward to discussing this more. Now, these are obviously improper redactions.
I just can't take it.
I'm talking. I'm talking.
Privilege?
Quiet.
Yell at me. If they're not
Chairman, you see the time, this is on your time. It's not on Mr.
if they're
Gomes.
not privileged,
Used your
we review them.
improper redaction.
You'll like my answer.
To
We
continue
review
to
them and they're
protect
not privileged.
Time belongs to
we
the
would be
member.
happy to release them.
We'll stop the clock. We'll stop the clock. Time belongs to the member. Go ahead. Even though you used improper redactions to protect Donald Trump and other predators associated with Jeffrey Epstein, you did the Southern Fried Chicken.
Oh, come on, YouTube. You're blowing me.
Who's got the sauce? Zaxby's.
Identification information was really the only thing required to be redacted, and it was not. And it's clear this was not a mistake. This was not by accident. This was not because you only had 30 days when you...
Let me tell you about what kind of lawyer you're not.
3 hours last March that you were redacted.
Does she sits up at night and writes those. She wrote that out.
There is an
She was like, "Oh, this is really gonna eat."
Epstein victim list. There are 32 names. 1 is redacted. 31 are not. So someone looked at it and decided to redact something. And I will tell you
that is clearly intentional.
Yes.
To intimidate these survivors.
Period.
And victims.
Mr. Moskowitz.
Now, in a interview last week.
How will you tell me that's intentional?
In an interview last week, Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche
Can't go off script.
said that any victim
Shut the fuck up, Pam Bondi.
Has done so, hopefully. Well, thanks to the incredibly brave people sitting here behind you, we can actually ask them if that's true.
Oh,
Now, with the survivors and victims who are here, please stand up one more time. Just by show of hands, how many of you or your loved ones actually have met with the Department of Justice and provided testimony and estimate and evidence? None. And of those of you who have not met, which is everyone, how many of you have reached out either individually or through a lawyer or representative to offer to provide testimony and evidence? All of them. And of those all of you who have reached out, how many of you were denied or ignored by the Department of Justice?
All of them.
All of them. And despite the shameful and despicable efforts by Ms. Bondi and her department to intimidate you, how many of you are still willing to speak to the Department of Justice?
All of them.
Well, Ms. Bondi, it looks like you have some more witnesses to talk to.
We'll go to the gentleman from
Well done.
May I have a moment, Congressman?
Well done.
Thank you. Here we go. Here's the photograph. This is why he wanted to repeat everything that had been said previously on Epstein.
What?
This is his state, New York. You probably don't even know who this is. Wahid Mohammed from Afghanistan.
Yes, because I'm no longer a prosecutor.
Convicted of assault. Wow. He represents New York. Wow. Yet he doesn't care about the illegal aliens.
He's not a prosecutor at the moment. What are you even talking about?
For a prosecutor, so he doesn't care about his constituents.
That's not what he's...
Arson. El Salvador. Miguel Palacio.
I'm going to use the restroom. I'll be right back. Make sure my office doesn't run away while I'm gone. And I'm sorry you have to hear this wretched woman's voice.
Let's talk about the 70% of immigrants who are detained without a criminal conviction or arrest.
Stop the clock. Stop the clock. Time belongs to Congressman Knott. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Madam Attorney General, I want to be sure that the American people understand exactly what we're referring to when we talk about sanctuary policies. They are often framed in sort of innocuous terms like, we refuse to take part in immigration law. And when you add up all of the population represented by these cowardly politicians in sanctuary jurisdictions, whether it's a county, city, or state, sanctuary jurisdictions account for roughly 40% of the United States. Now, in reality, it's much more than just a passive exercise. Is that not correct?
Yes.
It's unbelievably active. And in terms of breaking down these terms, I want to break it down as clearly a term as I can. What is a federal detainer for the American people? Please describe it.
A federal detainer is when someone is held in federal custody.
Yes. And when a federal detainer is issued to local law enforcement, they are obviously in local or state custody, correct?
Yes.
And federal officers take note of that apprehension and they say, we want to come and apprehend him or her to deport them. Isn't that correct?
Yes.
And in these sanctuary jurisdictions, whether it's California, Illinois, New York, or other places, even in North Carolina, there are sanctuary jurisdictions. That federal detainer often prompts not any cooperation, not any assistance, but a release onto the streets. Isn't that correct?
And Congressman,
okay, I'm back.
Detainer is federal law.
Yes.
People must abide by, yet these jurisdictions, many of these jurisdictions are not abiding by that.
And we hear a lot of talk from the other side about victims of violent crimes, sex crimes, murders, whatever it may be. But I want to be very clear. Illegal aliens.
They're not aliens. They're human beings.
Been released by sanctuary cities, by sanctuary states, rather than being turned over to the federal government for deportation. Isn't that correct?
It is, and it's sad for all Americans that any jurisdiction would do that. These are some of the most violent criminals I think we've all seen.
Yes. And despite their best efforts to obstruct you and the president in making this all safer, I just want to go through a quick list again of the accomplishments that you have been in part responsible for achieving. True or false? The country now has the lowest murder rate in 125 years.
Yes.
True or false? 62 major cities are now reporting rapid.
It's just another senator kissing her ass.
True or false? Robberies are down nearly 20% over the last year.
Yes.
True or false? Violent crime.
So she can answer yes or no questions.
Over the past year.
Yes.
True or false? Right here in Washington, D.C., violent crime.
She can answer yes or no questions.
Since President Trump.
She just picks and chooses when she wants to answer the questions.
Even better than that, but yes.
Good.
Yes.
True or false? The DEA has seized over 200,000 kilograms of cocaine since President Trump took office.
I believe so. And 78,500 kilos of meth and more than 260,000 kilos of cocaine.
Unbelievable.
That's lives saved every day for all of us, for
Absolutely.
families, for children.
And then true or false? The Department of Justice under your leadership has a 92% success rate at the Supreme Court.
I believe so.
Or ballpark.
Ballpark.
And then true or false? This administration is attacking the waste, fraud, and abuse that we have seen in places like Minnesota that is removing.
What waste, fraud, and abuse? What waste,
Trump is committed to
waste, fraud, and abuse?
City in this country.
And Madam Attorney General, just to be very brief here, I want to be sure that you know that many on this committee made very serious efforts to try to amend the Epstein petition to give you the resources and the time to protect victims, to go through and to have the necessary run.
They knew this was coming for a long time. They should have already been ahead of it.
Requests were met with refusal, and we were unable to make the necessary amendments. But thank you for being here today.
Stop kissing her
The
ass.
gentleman yields back. We turn to the good lady from California, Congresswoman Conrad Dove.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Attorney General, for being here today. I want to talk with you about an issue on which there is broad bipartisan agreement: the importance of ensuring trust between the American public and those government officials who wield powerful law enforcement responsibilities. So, Attorney General, would you agree that it is important for law enforcement leaders to be honest?
Of course, as well as members of Congress.
Thank you. And would you include yourself as a law enforcement leader?
Of course.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. You know, President Trump has also, he has referred to himself as the chief law enforcement officer of this country. So do you believe that President Trump is honest?
He is the commander-in-chief of the United States of America. And not only is he honest, this country say, he is keeping this world safe.
He's not keeping this world safe. Girl, Pam Bondi is gurgling him so hard.
Minnesota lawmaker.
I'm sorry, but I'm not going to be polite about it.
And their dog.
She's gurgling Donald Trump so hard.
And your USA's office in Minnesota.
Beth said race, fraud, and abuse equals Somali daycare things, ? The funding that was given to autism schools that they're trying to say Somalians took without actually looking after any kids. I'm paraphrasing, but I think that's what he was referring to maybe. They like to throw around the term fraud, waste, and abuse, and they don't really know what it means. I used to work as a subcontractor to the DOD. I know what fraud, waste, and abuse is, and they have no clue. They haven't a single clue.
Video raising this conspiracy theory, and it wasn't true. And you know it wasn't true, or else you would not have brought an indictment against the subject. Do you know what else Trump has said? He has said he has cut gas prices by 1,400%. False. That he won the 2020 election.
Actually, gas is down to $1.99 a gallon. Thanks.
That he didn't know Epstein.
Maybe $5 in California.
It's my time, Mr. Chair. That he sent water to LA during the wildfires. False. That Governor Westmore of Maryland called him the greatest president of his lifetime. False. So many tales, too many to keep up. But I want to go back to what he said about Tim Walz. Do you agree that President Trump undermined public trust in law enforcement by suggesting that Governor Walz was involved in the Hortman murders?
I am not familiar with that statement.
Well, That is a disappointing response. And it is also why your office and Donald Trump have zero credibility. And you know, it was a right-wing extremist who murdered the Hortmans. And you and the president are being dishonest with the American people. Last fall, after the horrific shooting of Charlie Kirk, President Trump was asked if there were extremists on both the left and the right. And his exact words were, I'll tell you something that's going to get me in trouble, but I couldn't care less. The radicals on the right oftentimes are radical because they don't want to see crime. The radicals on the left are the problem, and they're vicious and they're horrible and they're politically savvy. Do you agree with this statement? You're taking too long, Madam Attorney General, but you know the answer because your own department has addressed the question. In 24, the DOJ's research arm issued a report on domestic terrorism stating that the far number of far-right attacks continues to outpace all other types of terrorism and domestic violence extremists. The DOJ published the report, and after the president made those comments, the DOJ took the report down. And I sent you a letter asking you a simple question. Why did the Justice Department remove the data that shows right-wing extremists have killed more innocent people than left-wing extremists?
Did you refer to immigration enforcement as domestic terrorism?
You should answer my question. Yes. You're on my time, but you won't. And what I am asking you to do is
she always answers. She loves a good answer with a question with a question.
Scrubbing important data from your website. Stop taking down reports that you know the American people need to know about. There are violent, dangerous people out here with real threats. And there are in your from your agency comes from the covering up of these threats that could hurt American people and put our lives at rest. Do better. And with that, I yield back the
The lady yields back. The gentleman from North Carolina is recognized.
May I have 1 moment?
You may.
Her district includes Culver City, and she's not talking about any crime in her districts. Nothing about helping crime in her district. She's not even worth getting into the details.
So then why did you say something?
Madam Attorney General.
If she wasn't worth it, then why did you say something?
And let me just say that you've shown great perseverance today, and I think you're coming to the last lap here of those of us that are left. But I applaud your strength, and I applaud your resolve. Madam Attorney General, as a pastor for over 37 years now, I take serious issue with any attempts by agitators to disrupt church services or activities at houses of worship. And I just want to take a moment to clarify some things. I realize you can't talk about pending cases per se, but I do want to ask some very general questions for clarification. Does the DOJ consider...
I don't know about you guys, but I'm frustrated.
Into a house of...
I am loving the ones that are doing their jobs.
Under the First Amendment,
I do.
Undertaken.
It's so frustrating that we're sitting here having to have this.
Unauthorized with the intent of disrupting, yes.
Okay.
Even if it's a blogger like Don Lemon.
Correct. How does the DOJ distinguish between...
Not her trying to discredit Don Lemon.
...and expressive or protest conduct when a press defense is asserted?
Congressman, I met with the pastor of that church, and what happened there was horrific. Of course, the press is welcome, and I would hope all houses of worship, whether it's a synagogue, whether it's a church, any house of worship. However, what happened here is a pending case again, but within the four corners of the indictment, they were, quote, gearing up for a resistance. They entered a house of worship, and I think the video speaks for itself. What happened in there, what the video doesn't show, is there were approximately 400 parishioners in there on a Sunday morning. Families, grandparents with canes, children.
Katie said it is hard to think about having to live in a society with these disgusting people.
To them.
Yeah.
Once this resistance took place, and they had named it Operation Flop. I
don't.
It was hard.
I don't have more to say.
They were terrified. I think they've all said that, and nothing like that should happen in this country. And under my watch, it won't.
Thank you. And just to clarify,
accosting members of a congregation and creating a scene marked by intimidation and threat inside a house of worship would not be protected First Amendment activity, correct?
Absolutely not. And a grand jury has indicted individuals over that.
Thank you. One other question, just shifting a little bit. My home state of North Carolina has been making national headlines at times, and particularly in the city of Charlotte. We've made pleas at times for our governor to get involved, bring in the National Guard.
Exactly. ICE can do
Fraternal
it.
Order of Police had pointed out that we
But ICE can do it.
270 local cops below what we needed in order to adequately police the city. And yet the governor has declined to offer to partner with the federal government to bring in reinforcements to Charlotte. I want to give you just a few moments, really the balance of my time, to explain the impact that Memphis Safe Task Force has had on crime and safety in Memphis, because I know there was a place we saw that cooperation has tended to breed great results. And I would love to hear a little more about that.
Thank you. And I have numbers for you too. One, we're all right here in DC. We're all living right here in DC. And I think we've seen the remarkable impact that it has working with members of the Democrat Party on this, with law enforcement, with the mayor, with the police chief, doing everything we can to make DC safe. As of February 9th, there were nearly 10,000 arrests. This is DC. 1,000 illegal guns seized since the operation began, with carjackings down 81% from this time last year, and violent crime down 42%. DC is safer because of it. We know we had a National Guardsman shot, and we had a beautiful young woman killed. I went to her funeral, and I keep in touch with the National Guardsman who was shot, his parents. He's doing great. He's a miracle. Please continue to pray for him. I know my time is up, but same results I spoke about earlier in Memphis, and
when she smiles, it makes me feel disgusting. Like when she smiles, she was like, I've been spending time with the family of the guardsman that was shot, and he's doing great. Why are you smiling about that? That guardsman got shot in the street because they shouldn't have been there to begin with.
Thank you. I seek unanimous consent to introduce into the record the research that Representative Dove and I referenced.
She frustrates
the threat
me.
of right-wing domestic terrorism, which the Department of Justice scrubbed from its website in September.
Without objection, the gentlelady from Texas is recognized.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. And to be clear,
oh yeah, my girl,
of this witness, because this witness has
Miss Crockett.
She has no intentions of answering questions, but instead, I'm going to ask some very basic questions really quickly of my colleague Becca Ballant, if she will answer right or wrong, raping children.
Wrong.
Right or wrong, killing random citizens.
Definitely wrong.
Right or wrong, enriching yourself as the sitting president of the United States.
Definitely wrong.
Okay, thank you, because I probably never would have got that with our witness. Our witness who somehow is a lawyer but does not understand how it works with witnesses.
That's my girl.
I'm not really sure what law school she went to and what all kind of cases she tried. But typically when you come into a space and somebody's a witness, then they sit there and they answer questions instead of asking questions. And then we also have this objection that we use as lawyers called non-responsive, when a witness fails to actually answer the question. But nevertheless, let me address the survivors, because that's exactly who they are. They are not victims, they are survivors. Let me say thank you for having more courage and moral clarity in your pinky fingers than the entire Department of Justice.
I know that's
we
right.
are currently the laughing stock of the world, partially because of the failed leadership within the DOJ, as we see kings and queens falling everywhere around the world. But we don't know the basics of right and wrong in this country, because it's not about partisanship. And that's why I applaud Thomas Massie, because he's the only person on the Republican side that has a backbone and knows how to stand up to corruption. But nevertheless, let me keep going. My Democratic colleagues have been attacked this entire committee hearing. They have been lied on. And frankly, the American people weren't looking for that. They were looking for answers about the corruption that they see coming from this administration. In the written testimony of this witness, of this particular witness, she stated that when she took office, she had two main goals. The first was to end the weaponization of justice.
Bondi
and
is
second,
sad.
return the department to its core mission. Not only have you lied about both, you've intentionally done the exact opposite. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting journalists than you are prosecuting pedophiles and creeps. In fact, your boss, the President of the United States, stated that this administration, quote, took the freedom of speech away. And at your direction, DOJ has arrested Don Lemon and Georgia Fort. And I might add that y'all actually had a judge that rejected.
Oh, she's got some victims.
Don Lemon before, just like the grand jury rejected y'all as it relates to Senator Kelly, just like
Or not victims, but she's got people with shirts on, the same shirts that the victim or that the survivors are wearing.
the case against Tish James was dismissed and the case against Mr. Comey was dismissed. I completely don't get how it is that you're sitting at the top of DOJ because you don't seem to be good at your job. You're spending more taxpayer resources arresting these journalists. In fact, we know after Georgia Fort and Don Lemon were arrested, we know that there were homes of journalists that were raided. We know that threatened prosecution against students protesting your actions and forced tech companies to remove apps used to track ISIS activities. But let's circle back to you protecting pedophiles and creeps, because I want to talk about the president and his possible involvement with Jeffrey Epstein. Now, I don't know what the president might have done with Jeffrey Epstein, but unlike this administration, I believe that facts matter. So let's talk about the facts. Fact number one, Donald Trump is one of the most named people in the Epstein files. At least 5,000 files contains more than 38,000 references to Trump, his wife, or Mar-a-Lago. Fact number two, Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell made young girls available to Trump on multiple occasions. For example, according to this file, Ghislaine Maxwell presented a young girl to President Trump who spent more than 20 minutes apparently flirting with her. Here's another example. This shows notes from FBI investigators that describe Jeffrey Epstein transporting a victim to Mar-a-Lago to meet with President Trump, where he bragged to Trump that, quote, this is a good one. Now, I'm not saying that the president is a pedophile, but there is a lot of evidence in these files that suggests that he's very close friends with a lot of men who are pedophiles. What's crazy about all of this is just that this is a big cover-up. And this administration is engaged in it. In fact, this administration is complicit. But there are numerous others, like how the DOJ is attempting to obstruct justice in the investigation of the rogue agents who have murdered American citizens, or how the DOJ seized voter data from Fulton County in an attempt to steal the 2020.
Three young ladies in the background that are wearing shirts that says the truth is redacted, redacted, redacted. Epstein survivors are still waiting. Release the redacted files.
Payday, which is unconstitutional. The Constitution is clear. The president shall not receive any payment except his salary while in office. The fact of the matter is that you will be remembered as one of the worst attorney generals in history. An attorney general who has prioritized obstruction over justice, corruption over the law, fealty to the president over loyalty to the Constitution. And Mr. Chairman, I will yield.
She ate her. Pam Bondi didn't say a word.
Former Attorney General, Mr. Smith's record.
She didn't even ask if she could get 20 seconds. Oh, I think she did.
And so I find it interesting that she didn't even want to try Congresswoman Crockett to ask any questions.
She act like she don't know who Jasmine Crockett is. You know who Jasmine Crockett is.
Jeffries for taking money from Jeffrey Epstein after Epstein was convicted. And I will be brief to give you your time, Congressman. This is what she didn't want to talk about. Texas, from Cuba, convicted, homicide, arson, weapon offense.
Convicted. So what we talking about? Convict some of these perpetrators that rape these women that are sitting
Time to
you refuse to even acknowledge they are here.
Time to loss to the gentleman from Kansas.
Mr. Chairman, can I have a few seconds back to make up for the yelling? Thank you. General, to give anything further to say.
Texas, convicted of homicide. Cecil Joseph, Dominican Republic. Texas, convicted for kidnapping, rape.
You're welcome.
Khalid Khan from Afghanistan. That's why they want to talk about Epstein and not what's happening in their.
No, we want to talk about Epstein because it's the biggest thing out right now. It's because we're chasing the truth. It's because you guys are covering up for pedophiles. That's why we want to talk about Jeffrey Epstein. I'm getting sick and tired of them deflecting every single chance that they get every single time. We're talking about the Epstein files because the victims and the survivors are sitting in the damn seats behind you because we're here to address the Epstein files. That's what we're here to talk about. I'm getting really pissed off. Sorry, I had to get that out of my system. Because be so fucking for real. We're here to talk about the Epstein files. We're not here because we're here to twiddle our thumbs and play games and look in your face and talk about the NASDAQ. No, we're here to talk about the Epstein files and why you've continuously redacted the names of co-conspirators, why you have left the survivors left open to be harmed by the public. That's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about why the president's name appears in the files at least 4,000 times, and you scrubbed it because it was way more than that. That's what we're here to talk about. Whoa.
On another individual, drunk driver ran into him, never should have been here, shouldn't have happened. Thinking about a guy who was deported.
That's what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the Epstein files.
Kansas City, Kansas, and then fled to Missouri and killed a fifth guy. He died in prison. Thinking about a guy we prosecuted who wasn't supposed to be in this country.
Beth, you got to get some rest.
Held in a little rural county up north on the Nebraska border, and we sent him to prison for, I believe, the rest of his life. Thinking about a guy who wasn't supposed to be here at all, who murdered, I think it was his wife or his domestic partner in an act of domestic violence in Northwest Kansas.
I'll be right back. I have to use the restroom again.
Joined up with some folks who were citizens and committed a crime spree and then thought he might get caught, so he killed one of his accomplices. And we sent him to prison for the rest of his life. And that's just the ones I'm thinking about sitting right here. And you know what's common in all of those? They all committed violations of my state's law. They were caught by my state's law enforcement. They were prosecuted by my state's prosecutors. They are serving time in my state's prisons. And if and when they ever get out, the United States has said they need to be sent out of this country because of what they did. There's a list. You're holding up photos, General. There's a list on the Department of Homeland Security's website. It has about 280, 290 people like that in my state of Kansas. And you know what? We haven't made headlines like Minneapolis. We haven't made headlines like Memphis. We haven't made headlines like Los Angeles. And you know why? Because our cops are professionals and our politicians, by law, allow them to do their job and to work with federal agents for safe handoffs in order to do everything that's supposed to be done, justice under state law and the justice of deportation on the back end. So I want to do something that's been rare here today, General. I want to ask you about public policy. Donald Trump won't be president forever. I would like to lock in some of these gains we have made in public safety. Should we be exploring the idea, for example, of beefing up 287G partnerships or maybe replicating that so that state prosecutors can work more closely with federal prosecutors to get deportation orders as well as state convictions?
Absolutely.
In terms of sanctuary jurisdictions, when a sanctuary jurisdiction says as a matter of politics, go pound sand to the feds, we won't honor your detainer. So they release those people I'm talking about into their communities. And those people commit another crime of property or violence against citizens. Should those citizens have some type of civil redress against the jurisdiction that is a matter of public policy, turning those people loose who created the new victims?
So right now it's Mr. Schmidt who's talking.
Lives of all of the citizens of that jurisdiction.
And you have been sued a lot, or the administration has.
How much longer?
Blanket policies.
Wonder how much longer this is going on for. Isn't it an all-day thing?
The law says under Rule 65 that when you win those and there's a wrongfully entered injunction, that there's supposed to be a monetary remedy for that.
Jasmine Crockett.
Yes.
And didn't the president
ate
direct
her up.
other agency heads to start seeking bonds in those cases?
Yes.
And should we beef up the law in that area by codifying that requirement going forward?
I would love to discuss that with you.
Thank you, General. Thank you for being here.
Gentleman yields back. Well done. Some of the questions he raised, we plan on taking up in a markup in a couple of weeks on the whole sanctuary jurisdiction issue. With that, I recognize the gentleman from Texas.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Madam Attorney General, for taking the time to speak with us. We certainly really appreciate it. I've got a series of questions for you that we can get through pretty quickly, I think. Can you tell me, is it true that the Biden-Harris DOJ raided President Trump's home?
They did.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ allow Jack Smith to spy on over a dozen Republican members of Congress?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ seize the phone of a sitting Republican congressman?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and Jack Smith pay at least $20,000 to confidential human sources to provide information on President Trump?
At least.
At least. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and FBI fail to apprehend the suspect who placed pipe bombs near the Capitol ahead of January 6th?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target parents as domestic terrorists?
Absolutely.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ target pro-life Catholics, going so far as to interview a priest and a choir director?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ send FBI SWAT teams to arrest pro-life advocates with
What
no
is this
criminal
fucking
history?
line of talking?
Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ use the
This line of
FaceTime to
questioning
target
is so
pro-life
annoying.
advocates, while it allowed anti-life agitators to vandalize, destroy, and firebomb pregnancy resource centers and churches?
Multiple times, I believe.
Multiple times. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ ever determine who leaked the Dobbs decision?
I can't discuss. No, under under Biden Harris.
Got it.
No.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ and FBI target whistleblowers for revealing waste, fraud, and abuse within the department to Congress?
Not to my knowledge.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ refuse to say whether it coordinated with Alvin Bragg, Fannie Willis, and Letitia James in their lawfare against President Trump?
They refused.
The Biden-Harris DOJ slow-walked the criminal investigation and prosecution of Hunter Biden.
That's an understatement, in my opinion.
Yep. Did the Biden-Harris DOJ determine who brought cocaine into the Biden White House?
They did not.
They did not. But did the Biden-Harris DOJ cover up the...
As far as
Let me
no,
get comfortable.
They did not.
Right.
We're going to be here for a while.
The
It
Biden-Harris
appears.
DOJ cover up the extent of the Russia collusion hoax?
Absolutely, in my opinion. Yes.
Did the Biden-Harris DOJ, seek leniency from a federal court for an IRS
Mr. Gill.
contractor who leaked sensitive tax
Whoever Mr. Gill
information
is,
on over 7,600 Americans,
he's
including
kissing her ass, and I don't care to hear about
the
it.
Biden-Harris DOJ sued Texas because the state wanted to secure its own southern border.
Yes.
And finally, did the Biden-Harris DOJ attack SpaceX for hiring too many Americans?
I believe they did.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. And I appreciate that a lot of this is being cleaned up under your leadership. So thank you for returning the DOJ back to its core focus, which is on the rule of law. And I think that we see the results.
Thank you for returning the law of justice back to the rule of the law. Thank you for taking the Department of Justice, the Department of Law,
President Trump
back into the rule of law.
The murder rate has dropped to a historic 20% drop in the national murder rate.
I don't care. I don't care about these statistics. I do not care about the things that they continue to make up over and over and over again. Pam Bondi has committed an insane amount of perjury today, and it is nothing that there's going to be done about it right now.
And our great state and federal process.
She said, you guys want to talk about this instead of the Epstein files?
Robberies, all
you guys want to talk about the Epstein files, but you don't want to talk about what's going on in your own state.
Decrease as well as robberies.
We're here to talk about the Epstein files. That's why people are there. That's why the survivors are in the fucking audience.
Absolutely. And Director Patel is working tirelessly to catch those. I'm sure you've been seeing on the most wanted list. He and Deputy Director Bongino from day one said, we're going to get the most wanted list. And that's what's been happening, working hand in hand with all of our agencies.
And I want to thank you for that. Thank you for the work you've been doing to refocus the DOJ again on doing your core job. We're very happy with it, and I'll yield the remainder of my time to the chairman.
I appreciate it, gentlemen. I would just say earlier, one of the Democrats said that they said, "Who are you? Who you are?" And I think you're the Attorney General who I think on the first day disbanded the FIDF, first day on the job.
Oh my Lord! I don't want to hear about this. I don't care.
Issued and stood up the weaponization working group. I think you did that all on day one. Not to
Nobody cares.
First Justice Department that's put in place, as we've talked about earlier.
I'm so tired of the bootlicking and the ass kissing of this woman. She has done nothing for this administration. All she's done, she's done everything, but she's been on her knees for this administration. And I'm sorry if I'm sounding a little misogynistic over here, but she's done nothing but be on her knees for this administration. And I think she's slowly starting to realize that she's going to end up in jail sooner or later. She's perjured herself more times than none in this entire debacle today. but she has been so unprofessional.
1 year into my career, how theatrical days like this
and it's absolutely absurd.
But I think you performed well today and answered questions well today, and that's credit to you.
She has not performed well today. She hasn't answered a single question, Mr. Baumgartner.
Is certainly important, and is important for the victims. I think both I and the American people have a little bit of trouble taking the Democrats super seriously on this issue when they have been so uncurious about President Clinton's relations with Jeffrey Epstein. And
that's because Bill Clinton himself has said, pull the files. That's because Bill Clinton himself has said, yes, I'll meet with you, but I want to do it publicly. Yes, that's because Bill Clinton has come forward and has said, I don't have anything to hide. Unlike Donald Trump, Bill Clinton has defended himself. Now, do I think Bill Clinton is innocent in this? No, I don't. But he's not sitting here claiming to be completely innocent, that he's not in the files. He's not being fucking delusional about it. That's why no Democrat is pushing and saying that pushing his name. We're not just not pushing his name because we have no reason to. All of us are saying if he's in the files, he's in the files.
My first question would be, when it comes to the big stuff, how are you guys?
I don't understand.
What contributes?
This is why I can't take any of this seriously, because I will just sit here and I will lose my entire mind, and I will just be the most unprofessional host y'all will ever see, because it quite literally does not make any sense to me.
That one of the heads of what the department said.
How they've sat here and listened to this woman not answer a single question that a Democrat has asked her. Every single Democrat that has asked her a question, whether they have been polite about it or abrasive about it, she has refused to answer the questions.
Enforcement officers, the tools that they need, and the backing that they need, the support that they need to combat violent crime and all crimes throughout this country. And, I'd be remiss, we've talked about the FBI, we've talked about DEA a bit, but can I please brag about ATF? Rob Sakata and Dan Driscoll, of course, who has been our acting head of ATF, have done a remarkable job stopping guns from flowing into Mexico, not harassing gun owners. 26,965 violent crime cases have been initiated, including more than 4,300 firearms trafficking cases. More than 1,200 of those are tied to gun trafficking in Mexico. I talk to them almost daily.
Thank you.
And they're working so hard.
Well, thank you, Attorney General. Again, I look back at this last year, and we've had this historic tax cut.
I don't know about you, but I'm autistic. Yes, I'm ADHD.
National Cancer
Shout out to my ADHD
Congress, the administration, for
fellows
doing
out
more
there.
cancer research than has ever been done before. I was just meeting with humanity out in the hallway.
With the fairly hefty justice. What does that mean? Sensitivity bent. What does it mean by that?
So many accomplishments, but I really think this crime is the biggest deal of all. But I do have some concerns on this issue, and those also are respect how we keep people safe with sanctuary cities and sanctuary states. And I remind everyone, and as I'm sure you know, Madam Attorney General, that when we had the terrible terrorist attacks of 9/11, the number one recommendation of the 9/11 Commission was to reduce barriers between all levels of law enforcement. They specifically pointed to things like fusion centers, joint terrorism task force.
I'm quite juiced up here. And when I sit here and I listen to these things, I have to take a step back sometimes, because I'm going to lose my mind. I won't have anything politically correct to say, and I can put my foot in my mouth sometimes. So as an ADHD person, I have to be very careful with how I come across.
Sanctuary cities and states are attempting to prevent communication among all the law enforcement agencies. And of course, that's keeping all of America less safe, especially when the violent criminals are fleeing to those jurisdictions because they believe they're protected. But with all of our joint task forces, I see it every day, Congressman, how well, despite what these liberals are trying to do, Donald Trump's administration is working tirelessly.
Donald Trump's administration ain't doing shit.
All of Americans and all of our.
I'm keeping it a buck. Y'all know me. Y'all know I'm gonna keep it real.
Stuff right. You look at that.
Donald Trump's administration ain't done a damn thing.
Gentleman yields back. The gentleman from Missouri is recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and thank you, Attorney General Bondi, for being here on this long day. And I want to thank you most of all for your leadership in your whole career defending victims.
Oh,
a moment
that makes sense, Beth.
you protecting victims from a different kind of child abuse, that medicalized child abuse that goes under the banner of gender affirming care, that far too many of my Democrat colleagues enthusiastically support and unapologetically support. Shortly after returning to office, President Trump signed an executive order directing HHS to review the clinical evidence and determine whether sex-rejecting interventions caused more harm than good. HHS
I can't wait for the
same
day.
conclusion that the
Like I am so I cannot wait for the day that Pam Bondi and Christy Nome are just carted out in handcuffs. I just can't wait for that day. That's a day that I dream about.
Work to draft, propose, and promote.
These are disgusting, vile women.
Parents of children.
Vile women. Like these are the Ghislaine Maxwells of the world. I saw a post earlier that someone said once you realize that Pam Bondi is Donald Trump's Ghislaine Maxwell, things will make sense. And my jaw dropped. And I was like, you know what? That does make a whole lot of sense.
We named the bill after Chloe Cole, who sat where
Christy Nome.
We just did that.
Christy Nome's like one of the assistants.
Again. Chaired by now Speaker Mike Johnson. I'd like to play a clip of her testimony that day to remind us of our story.
After all the puberty blockers and the testosterone, the resulting menopausal-like hot flashes made focusing on school impossible. I still get joint pains and weird pops in my back, but they were far worse when I was on the blockers.
Why are we talking about this?
When I was 13, I had my first testosterone injection. It's caused permanent changes in my body. My voice will forever be deeper, my jawline sharper, my nose longer, my bone structure permanently masculinized, my Adam's apple more prominent, my fertility unknown. I look in the mirror sometimes and I feel like a monster. I had a double mastectomy at 15. They tested my amputated breast for cancer. Now I was cancer-free, of course. I was perfectly healthy. There was nothing wrong with my still developing body or my breasts, other than that, as an insecure teenage girl, I felt awkward about it. After my breasts were taken away from me, the tissue was incinerated. Before I was able to legally drive, I had a huge part of my future womanhood taken from me.
I can't. I don't know what this has to do with what we're talking about right now. I understand that there is questions that come up about trans rights with children. And I understand that some of those questions are very adequate, but what if it has nothing to do with has nothing to do with what we're here to talk about. This is the thing that this administration likes to do, is they want to throw anything that they can throw at us to try to sideline us, to try to get us away from the point. They're trying to distract us with whatever they can throw at us to make us try to divert our attention away from the fact that we're pushing for the Epstein files. It's ridiculous.
To Chloe, what a brave young woman.
to come before this body
Yes.
and
I can't. Even muted, she just she just irks me. She makes me feel gross inside. Yeah, they're horrible, horrible magicians.
Covered him.
Thank you kindly. Record low crime during the Biden-Harris administration. Crime down in every
There's
category.
not many senators left in the room right now. Looks like everyone's leaving, so we'll see what's going on.
Rates were already falling. From NPR, Trump administration targets ATF with plans to cut jobs and ease gun restrictions. And then a few oldies but goodies. I've introduced these before about the claim that we didn't have anything to say about Epstein before the Trump administration. Raskin joins call for Attorney General to reopen Epstein case and publicly release Acosta misconduct investigation in documents March 1, 2019. Oversight Committee plans hearing with Acosta on plea deal with Epstein July 10, 2019. And finally, 68 House members call for resignation of Labor Secretary Acosta, July 10, 2019.
That objection, Attorney General Bondi, thank you for your service to the country. And thank you for being here for a long day. We appreciate your willingness
So it looks like we're wrapping up.
answer questions and the great job you're doing for our country. And I got one thing I got to say. This concludes today's hearing. We thank our witness for appearing before the committee. Without objection, all members will have 5 legislative days to submit additional written questions for the witness or additional materials for the record. Without objection, the hearing is adjourned.
All right, it looks like it's over. Thoughts, anyone? Because I have nothing nice to say. I don't have anything nice to say at all. She did a shit job. She didn't answer any of the questions. And when she did answer questions, she perjured herself. She yelled at people. She tried to make people feel small. She tried to go after people's records back in their home states. She brought with her defensive means to fight back against what she very well knew was coming, even though she was only prepared to answer questions about the NASDAQ and other things that aren't related to her job. And she just made an ass out of the United States. That's pretty much my summation. But she did get me to 97K on Threads. So I will applaud her for that, because I threaded out that I lost 400 followers since I've been absolutely shredding her on social media all day. But anyway, it's not all about the numbers, you guys. Okay, Beth said, I feel like this shit has gone way too far and whoever's in charge is going to just walk in any minute and yell at people. But unfortunately, these are the people in charge, which is just, I don't understand. I absolutely agree with you on that. I feel like at this point, it's just going to, I thought it went too far when we saw Alex Petty murdered and shot 10 times at point blank range. I thought it went too far when we saw Renee Good be murdered online. You know, I thought it went too far a long time ago. And yet we're still here and it's still going further. One brain cell said, did she answer like 3% of the questions? I'm so frustrated. Yeah, she only answered a small amount of the questions that were asked. And she perjured herself on some of them. At least that's what some of the reports that I'm seeing on Threads. Yeah, I'm glad that I was able to be here, and I'm surprised that there's that many of you guys in here sitting here watching me react to this. So maybe next time I'll be able to have it up on the screen, sitting next to me while we're watching it together at the same time, and I'm commentating on it. But Yeah, it's quite frustrating when you are wanting justice to be uh provided to the survivors so badly that I'm rendered almost speechless. I'm almost speechless at this point because what was I get the point was to go on record with this, and I'm sure if they were to pull what she said last time, um, to what she has answered this time, you can see there are going to be places where she has lied. Um, I'm proud of all of the people that showed up. Yeah, absolutely. You're not the only one tearing your hair out. I definitely have been watching this, and I was like, you know what? Why am I not going live? So after that super long break, I was like, you know what? I need to go live, but I need to figure out how to go live in a way that I can actually show what's going on at the same time. So it'll be a good like side by side once I figure that out. Once I figure out how to stream, it's over for you bitches. She should have been forced to answer the questions. I wanted to rip my hair out. Yeah, she absolutely should have been forced to answer the questions. But you know what? Jasmine Crockett absolutely read her for filth. And I was so proud of all of the other senators that showed up and did what they needed to do. Um, and yeah, those two, yeah. So one brain cell said, but we know that Jim Jordan is complicit. I don't like the way they were smirking at each other. Yeah. I didn't like the way that they were smirking at each other either. Um the woman that Pam Bondi is she's very much like that she I can guarantee she's a mean person. She's a mean mom. She's a mom that if she has kids, she's a mom that just doesn't care that her kids have their own autonomy, doesn't want to listen to what they have to say. Oh, she reminds me of my mother. She's just evil. And that type of person is vile, but her day is going to come. One day, her day is going to come. And I cannot wait to see that day happen. I cannot wait to see that day happen. Beth said, Jim Jordan being there is shit. Personally, I think they need to freeze all the billionaires' assets and have anybody mentioned in the file stood down until they've been cleared or extinguished. I agree. I agree. Yes, like that mom from Utah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, I've been on for almost 2 hours. I appreciate y'all. I love you guys so much. Thank you for tuning in. If you ever want to support me, please consider buying me a coffee or subscribing to my Substack. It's free to subscribe to my Substack, but if you do choose to go with the paid option, it absolutely helps me and my life. This is my only job at this point in time. I have been trying to get a job and I have been denied at every stretch of the imagination, and it's very frustrating. So this is the only job that I have right now. So you guys' support is ample for me to be successful. So please continue to subscribe. Thank you for tuning in, and I will be on soon. Drink some water, get some rest, don't let anybody's dusty ass child treat you any kind of way. Love you guys.